Hello, people of the internet. I'm the man with the plan, and welcome back to Kilmacthomas League Special. Of course, we're having the mid-season review right now. Plenty to go through, and well, I might as well just get into it. We're going to be going over every single team in order of positioning currently in the Kilmacthomas League table. Going to be going over the team's performance this season and assessing what they are doing right, what they're doing wrong, and high points, low points, all that sort of thing. And well, let's just get into it. Starting off, we have Atlético Sunflower Shop, bottom of the table. They have won 3 games, drawn 4, and lost 14. Have scored 21 goals in 21 games, which is a nice figure, a goal a game average. But they have conceded 55 goals, so that leaves them with a minus 34 goal difference. They have 13 points at the bottom of the table there. I would say definitely star player has been Kilmac Barbers, though he is not the team's top scorer. That is Okwem Jonathan Chirimala. Really, it's it's kind of obvious when you look at it, but they have conceded more goals than any other team in the Kilmac League. So obviously the problem is with the defence. It just hasn't been working out for them for whatever reason. And when your defence isn't working out for you, that's kind of bad. So hopefully Atlético Sunflower Shop can straighten up after the mid-season break and come out guns blazing in the second half of the season. They will need it though. I mean, it's not impossible. They're only 6 points away from safety now. The goal difference is seriously working against them, but it's not an insurmountable task. Certainly, you could see them make a jump. I have to get all this stuff. Sorry, my recording screen is a bit of a mess right now, so I'm just kind of trying to get the table up and all that sort of stuff so I can have my notes. Anyway, moving on from that, Dunhill Electrical Company are in 21st place. This is the second of 3 relegation spots. They, like Atlético, have won only 3 games, but on 15 points they have drawn 6 games and lost 12. They actually have a much better defensive record. They've conceded just 27 goals, which is fairly impressive when you put it up against every other team in the league, but have only scored on 16 occasions, so they have less than a goal a game average. They are the only team in the Kilmacthomas League, by the way, with less than a goal a game average. So they have a goal difference of minus 11. And really, I didn't have high expectations for this team, but to be fair, they've performed solidly enough. They've produced some good results. I forgot to mention, by the way, Atlético Sunflower Shop, low moment, definitely the 8-0 defeat against Centra. High moment, the 2-0 win over Portlaw United. That's it. But for Dunhill Electrical Company, it's a bit more complex than that. Osama bin Laden leads the team by far. He has scored as many goals as the rest of the team put together, so that's really something. I have to make sure that's correct. Okay, so he has. So he scored more goals than the rest of the team put together. Actually, has 9 goals from 21 games. The high moment I would say is definitely because it's fresh in the memory, the win over St Mary's Hurling at the Bongolai. That was a huge win. Other than that, there's not really much I can say about Dunhill Electrical Company. There's I can't really pinpoint a specific low moment for them really. I would say probably the 3-0 loss at home to Atlético Sunflower Shop, just because Atlético are doing so badly. But really, that was at a stage when we didn't know how bad they were going to be. So hindsight is 2020 and all that. The final relegation spot is currently occupied by Rainbow Hall FC. This team on 18 points, they have won 4 games, drawn 6, and lost 11. So they have 18 points, as I said. They have 22 goals after 21 games and have conceded 30. So the goal difference is a respectable minus 8. So that's not too bad. Rainbow Hall don't really score a lot of goals. Leah Hash actually leads the team in goal scoring. Hoselu is only 1 goal behind though. So yeah, they've 2 reliable goal scorers, and their defence isn't that bad. Really Rainbow Hall I'd say is just to keep playing teams that are better than them. That's the only problem. So it's kind of difficult to pinpoint what's the highest moment for this team and what's the lowest moment. I really don't know. I don't know Rainbow Hall that well. I feel kind of ashamed of myself for that. It's kind of difficult to say anything about this team, but hopefully they'll have more moments to talk about later on in the season. Now we move on to number 19, just above the drop zone at 1 point, 19 points. We have Jon Walters FC, who have 5 wins, 4 losses, and 12 defeats. So they have they have a remarkable goal difference of minus 24. Pretty impressive for all the wrong reasons. They have scored 27 goals and conceded 51. So that is just a stat line and a half. Definitely. And actually, believe it or not, I do have individual goal stats for this team. So yes, Jon Walters, number 15, leads the team in goal scoring with 10 goals, and Jon Walters 16 second with 9. And it's really kind of split up and all that. I do like this team, I really do. But I thought actually, and this leads me into the high moment for this team, the 6-4 win over Kiersey United, and as well as that, they had a 1-0 win over Kilmacthomas AFC. That was also a huge moment for them. I still think the win over Kiersey's might rank higher though, just because it was the start of the season. It provided them with hope and optimism, so they might have thought, hey, maybe we can have a good season. So that didn't happen. But in fairness to them, they did okay. I think, given the circumstances. The low point was obviously the crushing 9-1 defeat away to Centra United. That was not a pretty sight, and quite a humiliation. But at least they scored a goal. On 19 points as well, but goal difference separates the two teams. It's Fire Station in 18th, Fire Station 31-96 to be precise. Like Jon Walters FC, they have 5 wins, 4 losses, and 12 losses. 5 wins, 4 draws, and 12 losses. Have scored 28 goals, but also conceded 28. So they have a goal difference of minus 20, which is just 4 better than Jon Walters FC. I'm impressed with this team. They were really near the bottom. They only had 2 wins heading into the final 3 weeks, but this leads me into their high moment, of course. And really, you can't really talk about any of the individual games. Just 3 spectacular wins back to back to back have lifted them out of the relegation zone, and they're doing quite well. It's a tie for the leading goal scorer competition for them. Mr. Injuries and Diego Maradona have 6 apiece, but Killian Power is not far behind either, and Emer Martin and Imelda Bodron, Nils Liedholm have all scored 2 goals, and as you can see, there's the rest of the goal scorers. So low moment for this team. They got beaten 6-0 by Dungarvan, so maybe that's it. That's nice and simple. If only they could all be like that. We move on then to Kildisco, and Kildisco have 6 wins, 3 draws, and 12 defeats. So they're doing slightly better on 21 points with a respectable enough goal difference of minus 12. That's not very good, but it's not terrible. They have scored 32 goals. They have the highest scorer in the league, actually. The man who is in the lead for the race of the Golden Boot. I'll bring that up at the end of the video. 44 goals conceded, though. That's not very good. Of course, the defence is all chairs, so maybe that explains some of it. I would say the high moment for this team was getting that draw against Kiersey United, rallying back from 2-0 down. I mean, I know they've had some impressive wins, but I do like that they showed the tenacity to come back for a draw. Gerard Muller, obviously, as I said, leading the league in scoring with 18 goals. He leads by 1. There's a couple of fellas who are on 17. Hugi Bapav Spingy is 1, and I'll get into all the others, as I said, at the end of the video. But anyway, low moment for Kildisco. Not really sure, can't really think of anything that sticks out in my mind, so hopefully we'll find something. Now we move on to St. Texans Athletic, who are on 22 points, just one slightly better. They've drawn only once this season, and amazingly have 7 wins, but 13 defeats does hamper them a little. They have a goal difference of minus 21 though, so this is pretty dreadful, but we'll get into why that is in just a moment. 24 goals scored and 45 conceded. That's stat line as well. That certainly says some things. The Printer and Mr. Sheehan are tied on 7 goals apiece in terms of the top scorer for this team. It's obvious that the low point of the season was the 8-0 thrashing at the hands of Dungarvan. Yeah, not very good. You really don't want to be doing that sort of thing. But I really don't know what else to say. It's really hard. That was really hard for them. I would say the high point of the season was a hard-fought 3-2 win away to Greenway Rovers. 3 points for them that were massive, and could see them lift out of the relegation race before long. Now we move on to the team that they beat in that game, Greenway Rovers, as I said. But Greenway Rovers having a very disappointing season. But their goal differences are respectable, minus 6. They have won 6 games, drawn 4, and lost 11. They are on 22 points as well, but their goal difference obviously is miles better. They have scored 31 goals and conceded just 37. Well, not just 37, but it's I don't know. It's not very good, is it? But in comparison to the league, it's alright. They have Raul on their team, though. Raul has scored more goals than the rest of the team put together. He scored 17. This is impressive. So Greenway Rovers definitely doing putting in a shift there. Um, not much else I can say. High point of the season, I suppose, was the 2-0 win away at St Mary's to kind of prove that they still had it when, like, in reality they didn't. Low point of the season, I would say the loss at home to Greenway Astros just recently. Definitely not nice to lose to your rivals, and well, there's not much else we can say there. It's fairly self-explanatory. Now we move on to the most bizarre team in the league. The first team with a positive goal difference of just +1. They have scored 28 goals and conceded 27. They have 26 points. So this is I don't know how to explain this team. Domino's Pizza Zimbabwe have 5 wins and 5 losses. Have drawn 11 games. 11. That is ridiculous. 11 games. They've drawn more than half of all games we've been involved in. That is my favourite stat line. It's repeated actually in the next team. But fucking hell. Yeah. What else can I say about this team? Domino's are relying on their goal scorers, of course. Pengley is the main one, but they've got plenty of them, as you can see. A lot of players have stepped up to the plate, and that's something I like about this team. They do have a great unity in the squad. They've got a lot of players stepping up for them. High point of the season, I would say 2-2 draw at home to Kilmac. Excuse me. 2-2 draw at home to Kilmac was certainly something. As for low point of the season, I can't really think of anything. All I can remember this team is drawn, so it's really hard to come up with anything. Anyway, best of luck to the boys heading into the second half of the season. We move on to the other team that has 11 draws. Rathgormack Dynamos. They're on 29 points though, so they've won one more game. So they have 6 wins and 4 losses, as opposed to 5 wins and 5 losses. They have a goal difference of +3. They've scored 33 goals and conceded 30. And Rathgormack have kind of been doing okay. I didn't see them as that good of a team heading into it, but they've done quite well. Willie John Kiley is the lead scorer with 7 goals and Didier Drogba with 6. So they have obviously split up their goals a lot between different players, as you can see from the graphic on the screen. There's not a lot I can say. I will say though that the high point was a very high one. They were the first team to beat Kent FC. They definitely they put an end to Larkin's reign of terror back when he was still playing. The low point I would say definitely is very recent in memory as well. It was the loss to Bayern Kilmeaden at the Kilmeaden Village Centre. Did definitely damage some of their hopes of winning the league. But they're not out of it yet, not by any chance. There's still 21 games to go and anything could happen in that time. Moving on to the last team at the bottom half of the table, it is the Greenway Astros. Greenway Astros, oh god, this is a wild team. 8 wins, 6 draws and 7 losses, so definitely a roller coaster ride. That is almost a perfectly balanced stat line. If you had a loss and 2 draws. But goal difference of +2. They've scored 34 goals and conceded 32 and have 30 points. So that is an unbelievable stat line. Excuse me. As you can see, the goals once again are divvied up quite nicely. Wayne Rooney leads the team in scoring, Lee Wai Tong and then Adam Carney. It's almost a perfect kind of ladder. If you had one player who scored 5 and one player who scored 3, you'd have a perfect ladder. What would I say? Highlight of the season was that shock 2-1 win away at Flahavans. It kick-started their season and really got the ball rolling for them. They had a lot of losses, and that brings me on to the low point of the season, a 1-0 defeat at home to Dunhill Electrical Company. That seriously hampered their chances. Another low point for this team was a draw with a last minute goal away to Atlético Sunflower Shop. 2 teams they should have beaten. That is 4 easy points left on the table and couldn't come back to bite them at the end of the season. Now that we have that done, let's move on to the top half of the table, and this is where I really want to start talking about things. My phone. Sorry about that. Kind of perfectly segues into the top half of the table. First team I want to talk about, Portlaw United in 11th place. They have 31 points, just one more than Greenway Astros, which shows the significance, I suppose, of that defeat and that draw. They have a goal difference of -6 though. That is something. They've scored 26 goals and conceded 32, but they have 9 wins, 4 draws and 8 losses. Top scorer is Sean Power. I would say the key player for them has probably been Fionn Ryan though. He's done a lot, and you can tell when he does things on the ball. You can tell when he plays well. I mean, Portlaw tend to win. I would say that the highlight of the season was a 2-week stretch in which they beat Bayern Kilmeaden in a fierce local derby, and then beat Kilmacthomas AFC at the paddock. Very impressive. Yeah, Portlaw, I really don't know what to make of them. They do have impressive wins, but at the same time they do lose. Like, for instance, the low point of the season, in my books, the 2-0 defeat away to Sunflower Shop. Really humiliation. And I suppose in a way a humbling experience, getting brought back down to earth. Now we move on to the 10th team in the league, CF Dungarvan. And well, let me tell you, this has been a fun team to watch. Certainly no shortage of explosive moments. And as you can see, 39 goals scored, 27 conceded, for a goal difference of plus 12, the highest we've come across so far. They have 33 points, and that comes from 9 wins, 6 draws, and 6 defeats. The impressive thing, the really impressive thing, is that Eusebio is not the top scorer on this team. It is Tommy Harty. He has 14 goals. Eusebio only has 12. And then we have Creation, Shona O'Neill, Niamh Briggs, Chloe Juicy, and MC Pat Flynn, who have scored goals as well for CF Dungarvan. Definite high point of the season was the 1-0 win at Kent, in which Shona O'Neill scored an absolute screamer from about 30 yards out. And the low point of the season, I'm trying to think. Low point of the season, I really don't know. Could be anything really. Yeah, they've had no shortage of low moments. I would say, probably looking back on it, the week 1 loss to AS Flahavans, it was definitely disappointing because it came from a defensive error. So yeah, that happened. Anyway, moving on, we've got St Mary's Hurling in 9th. The defending champions, and they're not too far off the pace. I thought they would struggle a bit, but certainly they've rebounded after what was an unconvincing start, and they've done quite well for themselves. Bernie Kiersey is back on form, and she has scored 13 goals, leading the team in all competitions. They have a goal difference of -1. This is the highest a team with a negative goal differential is. They've got 35 points, and they are one of 4 teams on 35 points heading into the break. Excuse me. So 27 goals scored, 28 conceded. They have won 11 games, drawn only twice, and lost 8. So yeah, definitely the draw is costing Dungarvan in that department. So there's not much I can say. Andrea Pirlo has been playing incredibly well for him. He was a good signing. But yeah, not a lot of goal scorers on this team. Really, it has fallen to Bernie a lot this season to get the job done for St Mary's, and when she doesn't, usually no one else steps up to the plate. High moment for this team, definitely I would say the 2-1 win over Kilmac at the Bongaloid. Huge win for them, and as we've just recently seen, the low point was obviously the defeat at home to Fire Station. That really put a dampener on things. You could also argue that the 2-0 defeat to Dunhill Electrical Company was a huge low. Anyway, yeah, they've shot themselves in the foot very recently on 2 occasions. Could come back to bite them at the end of the season, you never know. Anyway, we're a good way away from that yet. 8th place, also on 35 points, as I've previously mentioned. It is TFR Room 55, and let me tell you, if there are awards going out for the funnest team to watch in the Kilmac League, this will be the team that will win it. 42 goals scored across 21 games, 2 goals a game average. That is not the highest in the league, that is the 3rd highest in the league. 33 goals conceded, a goal difference of +9. They have won 10 games, drawn 5, and lost 6. That is, oh man, that is impressive. Kean Power leads his team in goals scored, but Caelan Quinn is not far behind him on 7 goals. Neither is Room 55 Fishy on the similar tally. They've got a lot of goal scorers, and that's something I like about this team. It's a new hero every week for them. Someone else steps up. Obviously, the high moment for this team was the last second winner against Kilmac in week 15. That really rescued their title charge, and it keeps it alive as of yet. Yeah, that's what I meant to say. But anyway. Low point, I would say it is an unusual one, but the 0-0 draw at home to Rathgormack Dynamos, and you'd argue fair enough, Rathgormack are a good team, but if you recall, Anne Murray had a one-on-one chance with the goalkeeper to end that game, and she put it wide. So yes, that could come back to bite them. That's 2 important points that would have put them up into, I'll tell you now, 5th place, but there is still time to recover from that, so not to worry, lads, keep it up. Bayern Kilmeaden out of the team in 7th place, as I said before, on 35 points, but with a goal difference of +10, so they are 1 above TFR. They have scored 40 goals and conceded 30 goals in all competitions. 11 wins, 2 draws, and 8 defeats for Bayern Kilmeaden. So yeah, they are another very exciting team to watch. Tombango Shango Kronk Chapman is one of the leading goal scorers in the league. He has scored 17 goals for them. Haji is the next on 6. Dr. Avocado Man has scored 4. Kim Jong-un has scored 5. Oded, Parker, Luis Figo, Mao Zedong, Putin, and Vladimir Putin are the other goal scorers. What would I say is the high point for this team? I would argue it is. There's a lot of moments you could pick from, really. I will say, just because it's recent in the memory, Rathgormack Dynamos win just there 4-2. But you could put anything in there. You could put the win that they had over St. Mary's Hurling at the Bongaloid. You could put the win they had away at the TFR Room 55. You could put a lot of things, and really, there's a lot you can say about this team. As for low points, and they had a draw recently with someone, I can't remember who. I think it was Kildisco, or it could have been Dunhill. But anyway, it was a draw they shouldn't have had, and it's cost them. They are only 9 points off the pace though, and with 21 games to go, that is certainly ground they can make up on the other teams. Moving on to 6th place, we have AS Flahavans. Now Flahavans have kind of faltered a bit. They are similar to Bayern Kilmeaden with 11 wins, 2 defeats, or 2 draws and 8 losses. 2 defeats would be very impressive. So that's 35 points, as I previously mentioned. They have a goal difference of plus 12 though. They have scored 31 goals and conceded 19, which is a very impressive defence. That is, I think, the best defence in the league. The only one that has not conceded more than an average of 1 goal a game. Let's see now. I have to bring up stats. AS Flavins, as you know, the breakout stars of the season have been the dynamic duo up front of Theresa Keane and Cian Mulhern, or as they are collectively known, Theresa Keane Mulhern. That's something that came up with their trademarked or original character. Do not steal. No, that's trade. What else can I say about this team? They've had plenty of high points, I have to say. I would say the highest point was the 3-1 win away from home at Centra United, where Theresa Keane scored an absolute belter. That was a very impressive win there for them. I would say that the loss to Kildisco recently was the low point of the season. It really has encapsulated what has been a recent decline in form for AS Flavins. You'd be hoping that they'd make a rebound in the second half of the season, but it doesn't look like it's going to get much better for them. So very worrying times ahead, I think, for the porridge makers. Centra United are in 5th, the team that they beat, and they've had a very impressive season, but they've only had 5 goal scorers, so that's something to look out for. They have a goal difference of plus 22, which is the second highest in the league. They've scored 46 goals and conceded 24, so there's been no shortage of entertainment when watching Centra. They're on 36 points. They're just 1 point ahead of all those other teams. 10 games won, 6 games drawn, and 5 games lost. Benito Mussolini, Spoderman, and Mr. Tato all have more than 10 goals. I think that is a record. I don't think any other team has 3 goal scorers in double digits, although I'll be proven wrong fairly quickly if that's to be proven wrong. Dennis Bergkamp and Pat Phelan have also scored for them. Definitely there's been a lot of high points for this team. I would say highest point probably the 2-1 win away from home at CF Dungarvan. It was really something that got their title challenge back on track. The 9-1 win as well over who was it? Jon Walters FC, and the 8-0 win over Atlético Sunflower Shop, just really asserting their dominance over weaker teams. That's something you have to do as a bigger team, and that's something Centra United have excelled at. Moving on to 4th, it's another United team. It is Bayern Kilmeaden. No, it's not. It's Kiersey's United. 38 points, and they have a very low goal difference actually of just plus 9. 39 goals scored and 30 conceded, so it's fairly conservative, I suppose, by Kilmac League standards. 10 wins, 8 draws, and 3 defeats. That is the joint lowest in the league actually. They have only lost 3 times, and I'll tell you who they lost to actually, because they do have this taken down. Kiersey's United just lost 3 times, and one of those came to Jon Walters FC. The other 2 were 4-1 defeats to Tesco Ballybeg Wanderers at home and Kilmacthomas AFC away from home. So that was definitely the low point of the season. I would argue those 3 defeats combined making up that. They have an impressive front duo of Hugi Bapap Spinji and Matongo Babango, who have found form yet again, have scored 31 of Kiersey's 38 goals. That's impressive. They do have some fellas who are willing to step up to the mark. High point of the season, I would argue, is the recent 3-0 win over Portlaw. It's just really a nice win for them to have, and you really do need to get those wins under your belt. That's all I can say about this team, really. They've been doing quite well. I do like watching them. I like their kits, and they've just been consistently, just churning ahead, and that's something that you really need to do in the Kilmac League. Third was a real surprise contender for me. I wouldn't have expected this at the start of the season, but Tesco Ballybeg Wanderers are the team in third place. Now, last season they finished near the bottom, but since getting rid of some of their better players, they've actually improved. God damn it, I need a drink of water. Tesco Ballybeg and Mo Salah are tied for the top goal scorer on this team. Jake McCormick and Thierry Henry also have 4 goals each, and they've had a few more goal scorers as well. But they've had a lot of high points as well, such as the previously mentioned 4-1 win over Kiersey United. That was a huge win for them, and they've only lost 4 times in this league. They have drawn 6 times and won 11 games. Have a goal difference of plus 16, and they're on 39 points. So they're just 1 point ahead of Kiersey's, but that's all that matters. That 4-1 win was huge for them in that regard. They have conceded just 22 goals and scored 38, so it's a very impressive plus 16 goal difference. Low point for them, definitely looking recently at the Fire Station defeat. That is huge. They would have been only 2 points behind the top 2 if that had remained different. Or if that had, if they had won that game is what I meant to say. But anyway, looking at other losses they've had this season, I don't have them actually. Excuse me. Yeah, that's disappointing. But we move on then, looking at the second place team in the league, and this has changed very recently, as you know, but it's Kilmacthomas AFC on 44 points. They've scored 41 goals, and they've scored 41 goals, and they have conceded 21. So they have a goal game average conceded. So that is quite impressive by Kilmac League standards. Plus 20 goal difference. That is the third highest in the league, behind Centra and the league leaders, who I'll get on to in a minute. They have won 14 games. That is the highest amount in the league. So very impressive in that regard. But they have drawn 2 games and lost 5. That's where the kind of Achilles heel comes in. So that is a painful loss for them. I'll tell you who they lost to now. So this is going to definitely give you an insight into what the low moments are for this team. So yes, it was Portlaw United, Jon Walters FC, and TFR Room 55, as well as St Mary's Hurling, and of course Kent FC, who we'll get on to just a minute. So that is the 5 losses they've had. In fairness to them, they were all by 1 goal, so they definitely keep games close. They don't concede a lot, and they score a lot to back that up. George Best has been a pivotal signing for this team, but Patrick Morrissey still leads this team in goals with 15 scored after 21 games. George Best has 11. And then we move on to the league leaders. Kent FC, 13 games won, 5 games drawn, 3 games lost, 54 goals scored, the highest in the league, and 27 conceded for the highest goal difference in the league of 27. The loss of Lark Kent has not halted this team at all. And shit, my doorbell's ringing. I'll be RB. Back anyway, and let me tell you, this Kent team has just been a joy to watch. Getting into the low moments first, because there are so many high moments to count. I'm going to lose track of them all. But yes, they lost twice away from home. Rathgormack Dynamos 3-2, as we previously mentioned, and CF Dungarvan, as we previously mentioned. St Mary's Hurling was a high moment I forgot to talk about for St Mary's Hurling. Actually, they won 3-1 at the Lark Kent Arena, and that was in Anik Finnegan's first game. It looked like it was going to really hinder their title charge, but as you can see, they're top of the table, so it really hasn't done that much to deter them at all. Looking at the top scorers for this team, Gary Lineker leads them with 17 goals. Lark Kent, despite only playing in 14 games, had 13 goals, and that is an efficiency rate I don't think will ever be matched. But as you can see, yes, they've had plenty of goal scorers, so they've had plenty of players step up to the plate, and it looks like they're going to continue to be strong for the remainder of the season. That concludes our review of the first half of the season. Here are the top goal scorers, just coming up on your screen there now. I've been the man with the plan. Thank you for watching my videos, and if you'd like to see more, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you for the second half of the Kilmac League season.